The follow-up is simple. Ask a question, listen to the answer, then follow up. I'm your host, Noah Kozlov. Enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of the Follow-Up Podcast. I'm Noah. This is my 6-year-old daughter, Eden. Every week we sit on our bed here in New York City and have a conversation. Turn on the camera and give you a little insight into the mind of a 6-year-old. The podcast started as a conversation with me and a whole bunch of friends to have short, thoughtful, entertaining conversations by simply asking the right questions and listening. So then Eden asked if she could be the co-host of the podcast when the pandemic started, which turned into a terrific bonding experience, but also a teaching tool about how to have conversations and how to listen and how to expand on what you're saying. So that has been the 30-plus episodes of the Follow-Up Podcast, which you can listen to on Apple Podcasts. You can rate and review them there as well. Also, you can watch all episodes on vocalnow.com, VOKALnow.com. Your comments were really thoughtful last week about the episode on the attack on the Capitol, and we hope that we were able to answer some questions, spur on a conversation for those who may have been struggling to have that type of conversation with their kids. This week, a little bit lighter of a conversation, and if you've noticed, Eden hasn't smiled yet, and today is a little show and tell, so what are you going to show and tell?
I just lost my first 2 teeth. And as you can see, there's 2 growing in.
All right, so
it happened by a year ago, so before the pandemic, I went to the dentist. And they took an x-ray, my first x-ray on my teeth. So the dentist noticed that they were like the slivers, very slivery.
Slivery?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Slivery teeth.
Slivery teeth, what does that mean?
That means like the thinnest, thin.
Fin?
Yeah.
So slivers, what? Slivers were in between your teeth?
No, thin, and then just tiny bit, a little high, just like a tiny bit.
Those teeth going in behind.
Yeah.
Little slivers of the teeth behind. Got it.
So she noticed that.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you'll get a wiggly tooth soon. So that was true. I just lost those 2 that she said I was going to lose. And now, they were getting really wiggly. I only had 1 that was wiggly at first. And then the second one was wiggly after the first one, and that one came out first.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty crazy.
It is crazy. And those were really, really wiggly. And that second one that came out, when it came out, it was even more wiggly than the first. So how did that first one come out?
So when I was wiggling it, I was wiggling it by the bottom. So this is the tooth, I was wiggling it by here.
Mm-hmm.
Not
the root, yeah.
here. So that gets it to push up. It was so wiggly. I was like holding on to the tooth in my mouth. So I'm gonna have to let it out while my teacher was talking.
So this was going on during remote learning. And for the record, this was your second tooth that came out, not the first one. So it was during your morning meeting on remote learning, and you just held on until you got to a break?
Yep. 5-minute break.
Mm-hmm.
I ran to Dada, and he just touched it and just came out of there.
Mm-hmm. All right, so how about the first one?
The first one, we were watching a cooking show, and it was Chop Jr., and I was eating dried pineapple. So I probably bit the pineapple with the wiggly tooth, just came out. I was like, what is this? I spit everything out in the napkin, and it was my tooth I found.
And you didn't even feel anything. You're like, what is this hard thing here?
Yeah, what is this? I was actually confused. I didn't know what it was. I was like, what is this?
So we tried to tell you that, we were trying to prepare you for, what to do if it happens in school, especially because you have a mask on and all that. So that there was going to be a little bit of blood, and you just put the tissue there. But it wasn't a lot of blood.
No.
It was enough for a little tissue, right?
Yeah. For about 1 tissue.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then we'd gotten, when you were born, I think Billy and Susie Steiner gave it to us, a little box for your first tooth.
And my first haircut.
right for your first haircut too. So we have a little slip of your hair in there. So a box for your first tooth. So we cleaned it off, put some alcohol on it, rubbing alcohol, disinfect it, put it in that box, put it on your bookshelf, and you wrote a note for the tooth fairy, and
She came.
tooth fairy came.
Yeah. So they're on my bookshelf. I'm actually looking at it right now. There's a lot of books, but some books are shorter. So in one area there's some shorter books, and there's like a little space still of the bookshelf, and we put it right there. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So did you try to stay up for the tooth fairy?
No.
You didn't even try?
No.
Did you think that the tooth fairy was gonna make some sort of noise or tickle you or something?
No.
No? Were you hoping? You were
Well,
definitely hoping.
Yes.
Yeah,
Anyway.
definitely hoping. Yeah. So that happened on a Sunday night.
And then the next one came out that Wednesday. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
4 days in between, in the same week.
So now, what happens? What happens next? You got some teeth going in
Yeah.
here. Okay.
Here, I'll show us to see. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then,
There's
so
one.
I don't even know what teeth are gonna come out next. Do you know?
Probably the top two, because if you can see, there's like a tiny in between.
Well, a little space. Yeah.
So, probably those. It would be really funny if the top two, were at least wiggly when these didn't already come totally in.
Right.
That'd be pretty funny.
And then I showed you a bunch of pictures. I told you looked like a hockey player. So I showed you a bunch of pictures of
They're very funny.
of hockey players that just don't have teeth, like Bobby Clark, the former Flyer. He was the first one. But all those hockey players didn't used to wear even helmets, and their teeth would be knocked out all the time. Have you had any more fun eating because of the space?
Not really.
No?
Just chew your back teeth.
We haven't even had spaghetti yet. We've had pasta, but not spaghetti.
I would like to have spaghetti.
Yeah,
Tomorrow night. Is that impossible?
Yeah, we could probably do that.
Why, what are you going to do tomorrow?
I didn't have any plans.
Okay, so we're doing pasta.
Tonight we're gonna have salmon.
Yeah, but tomorrow we're doing pasta, I said.
Oh, you said.
I
What do you want on your pasta?
would like spaghetti sauce
Spaghetti sauce?
and
Okay.
a lot of cheese. Like a lot.
A lot of cheese.
Yeah.
What kind of vegetables on the side?
Zucchini.
Okay. You'd much prefer to have the vegetables on the side than in the pasta? Or does it depend on what the vegetable is?
Depends on what the vegetable is. But actually, maybe I'll have spinach and I'll mix that in the pasta. That's good.
Yeah. Alright, we can do that.
That's pretty good.
Alright. Alright, well this is a big milestone,
Yeah.
losing teeth. And it's the first milestone that you'll remember too, I think. Or at least you'll remember for a while, because you don't remember any of the other milestones of like when your first word was, or...
But I'll tell you my first word. That was dada.
That's right.
Dada. Dada.
And then, like, you don't remember when you rolled over for the first time, or when you took your first steps, or when you crawled for the first time. You don't remember those things, and now you remember when you lost your first tooth. Mom was so grossed out when you would brush it to try to get it out. Mom was so grossed out.
Yeah, gross.
All right, I love you.
I love you so much.